This is one of my favorite easy weeknight meals, especially if you have leftover cherry tomatoes just laying around. For this recipe, I like to slice the tomatoes in half, and then as I'm slicing them, I add them to my roasting pan. In this case, I'm using my Le Creuset large roaster, which I think is great for roasting just about anything. But once you have all of those tomatoes roasted and in your pan, you're going to slice up 2 onions. And once I cut this open, you will see that I kind of have to take a look at it because it had a few little green things in it, which I don't know, for some reason with I'm using sweet onions and the sweet onions tend to have those. So, but whatever, it's no big deal. It's not going to make a difference in your recipe. So from here, I'm going to dice the onions. Feel free to cut them however you choose. Um, when I'm cutting an onion, I really like to slice lengthwise and then I hold it, as you can see, on both sides, and then I kind of turn it and then I dice it the other way to get, more of a square dice. Sometimes I lose little pieces here or there, but ultimately it comes together. The other option would be to just use a food processor if you have one. In many ways, that's easier. So then we're going to add all of those onions to the pan and we're going to get started on our garlic. So I'm have 1 head of garlic, and for this recipe, I'm using 3 cloves of garlic, which I'm going to crush with the knife. Well, peel, crush, and then chop. But if you'd like, you can use the garlic press. For some reason, I have 2 garlic presses, and I did not think to use them. So whenever I'm cutting garlic, I like to cut both ends off of the garlic, but you can do whatever you like with the garlic. You can crush it whole, chop it up, whatever you want to do is perfectly fine. And if you're not a huge garlic person, just by placing the cloves into the pan, crushing them a little bit, place them, just throw them into the pan, don't chop them. It'll still. So now I'm going to add the olive oil. And I'm not measuring this. I'm not the type of person that really measures when I'm roasting something. So you can just add as much as you feel is necessary for the dish. And then from here, I'm going to add freshly cracked black pepper. And I'm using about 10 to 15 rounds of black pepper. And after the black pepper, we're going to add about a teaspoon of kosher salt. I don't measure this either. This is just a guesstimate. Over the years, I've just figured out the right amount. So it's about a teaspoon. I've been cooking for 20 years, so I've got it down to a science at this point. And then you do not see me add Italian seasoning, but I did add Italian seasoning to this, and now we're just mixing it up and getting all those flavors together before we put it in the oven. Okay, so I have my oven preheated to 425 with the convection on, and we're just going to place these into the oven on the middle rack, and we are going to let them cook for about 20 to 25 minutes. And then we're going to get started on our ravioli. So now I'm adding my store-bought fresh ravioli from Costco. It's the sausage ravioli to a salted boiling pot of water. And I usually add about a tablespoon of salt into my pasta water, which seems like a lot, but I'm also cooking for 7. And so that's typically 2 or 3 boxes of pasta at a time with 3 teenage boys. They eat a lot. Okay, it's been about 20-25 minutes, so I'm pulling the tomatoes and the onion mixture out to see how it looks. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a wine. Now, I am using an Aldi's Moscato that's only about $4.99 a bottle. I love it. I love to drink it, and I love to cook with it. But I would suggest you can use any white wine. Just make sure it's something that you enjoy drinking. And that is affordable enough that you feel like you can cook for it. So what I'm doing is I am deglazing this pan, trying to get up all the yummy bits. And if you kind of move the wine up towards the side, a lot of that brown flavor will boil off. So here it's done, and I have my son Max pulling it out for us to look at. And I'm going to take it out, and I'm just going to place it on top of the stovetop. And I'm gonna add the cheese and raviolis to it and kind of mix it up. Um, I like this dish because I feel like it's one of those dishes where it allows me to use up tomatoes that would have otherwise gone bad and I would have had to throw away. So that's number one. And number two is really you can add or do or take away anything, and the dish still comes out really, really good. So it's a versatile dish, and it's fairly simple to make and healthy. So I've grated some fresh Parmesan cheese on. I really like the red wine Parm from Costco. That's our favorite. And so that's what is grated onto this. And coming over here, you will see that I am chopping basil. My husband has an obsession with basil. So we have always have fresh basil in the house. We have a few plants in the kitchen. So I'm chopping about 5 to 10 leaves here, and I'm going to add that to the dish. You don't have to do this. This is just one of those steps where it's nice, but it certainly isn't necessary. The dish is just as flavorful without it. But it's a way for me to use some of the basil that he's growing. So now that I've added the fresh basil, it's time for a taste test. Remember, it's very important to always taste your cooking before you serve it to other people. So in this clip, I am tasting it and loving it. This is one of my favorite things to make. And I hope you'll make it too. Thanks for watching. And you can find this recipe at my website, Living Worldwise, or on YouTube under Susan Striegel at Living Worldwise. Thanks so much. Have a great day.